All right, welcome back, students. Mr. Murphy here. So you did lesson one. If you went through the PowerPoint, it took two lessons to get through it. Here is the student workbook in case you want to see that. So we start with the definition of exponential notation. So 5 to the power of 6 means 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. And 9 over 7 to the power of 4 means 9 over 7 times 9 over 7 times 9 over 7 times 9 over 7. You have seen this kind of notation before. It's called exponential notation. In general, for any number x and any positive integer n, x to the power of n equals x times x times x times x n times. The number x to the power of n is called x raised to the nth power, where n is the exponent of x in x to the n, and x is the base of x to the n. X is your base, n is your power. So let's practice these. 4 to the power of 4, sorry, not 4 to the power of 4, 4 times 4 times 4, 10 times. Come on, 1 second. So that would be 4 to the power of 7. Okay. Now in computers, getting the 7 to be a little 7 up by the 4 is difficult. That's why they do this stuff. But we can use, this is called a caret key. It's right above the 6. So you hit shift 6 to get that. All right. So this one, we have the fraction 7 over 2. Okay. And it's raised to the power of 21. So 21 times. Okay. This one, they've given us the answer 3.6 to the 47th power. So down here, they want what? They want to tell us that there are 47 times you're multiplying 3.6. Exercise 7, we have negative 13, 6 times. So I'm going to put my parentheses around it, negative 13 to the power of 6. This one is negative 11.63, negative 11.63 to the power of 24. And then this one would be negative 1 over 14 to the power of 10. We have 12 to the 15th power. So how many 12 do we have here? We should have 15. We have x 195 times. So we have x raised to the power of 195. This is negative 5 to the 10 times. Can you guess it? Negative 5 to the power of 10. And then this one, x to the nth power. So how many x's do we have here? We have n x's. Okay. Here we talked about if I'm multiplying negative 1 12 times. So that would be negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. We learned last year if you're multiplying negative numbers repeatedly, if it's an even number of times you're multiplying, the answer will be positive. If it's an odd number of times you're multiplying, the answer will be negative. So you can try it in your calculator and do negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 12 times, but your answer should end up being 1. If I do it 13 times, so 1 times negative 1 is going to be negative 1. Okay. So it's not necessarily to do all the calculations to determine the sign. We have 95 times here. So 95 is odd. So negative 5 times 95 is going to be odd. Sorry. So it's going to be odd. So the answer is going to be negative. Because when you multiply an odd number of negative terms, answer is negative. We multiply. This is negative 1.8, 122 times. That's even. The answer will be even, not even. The answer will be positive because when you multiply a positive number of negative terms, the answer is positive. Okay. So there we go. That's the lesson. Oh. If n is a positive even number, then negative 55 to the n is going to be positive. And if n is a positive odd number, then negative 74 times n is going to be negative. Okay. Jody says negative 15 6 times is going to be negative 15 to the power of 6. Is she correct? Well, she should put the parentheses around that to make sure that we know to keep the negative sign in there as well. Okay. So that's it. Time to do your problem sets.